Hello and welcome along to another episode of the Tackling Sport podcast. And Premier League Fan Predictions is back, better than ever. And firstly, it's Daniel here, joined alongside me, as always, by my brother Sean.
How's it going?
And we're now welcoming the 5-in-a-row champion. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, it's a coin flip every time. So it's 5 coin flips in a row. Going for 6 in a row, which is obviously unprecedented because 4 in a row was unprecedented. Shane, Sexton, Manchester United fan, welcome once again to the podcast. Delighted to talk to you again.
Good evening, Arsenal fans. How are we? Yeah, great to win last week. My heart goes out to Andrew. It was a close one, but Jesse Lingard, as usual, scored before 8 minutes, scored in the 6th minute, and that's why I'm here this week. So delighted to be back again.
Yeah, heartbreaking stuff for Andrew Blair, White Villa fan, who was beaten in the tiebreak. But we're kind of like, Sam, look, we tried everyone. We're really confident, though, this time. I'll be putting serious money on Sam O'Connor, Arsenal fan, to defeat him. And for those not on YouTube, wearing absolutely amazing Arsenal retro gear here in the bottom left corner. Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Cheers, lads. Getting out the big guns. I'm here to do the listeners all a favour and knock Shane off his perch. So, yeah, I'll do my best.
I can't wait for that, to be honest with you, in that day. But as you said, Shane's Unai Emery impression suggests that he's probably got something up his sleeve for the Arsenal game. But we're going to go straight into it, and we're going to go for Fulham versus Wolves. And Shane, these are the kind of games, the Fulham at home to Wolves, that you just sneak a 1-point win over your opponent. That's done you well over the last few weeks. It's a Friday night game. How do you see it going?
I was a bit disappointed with Fulham last week when they played Villa. I think I tipped a draw, but they got their noses in front after 60 minutes, and then they just really fell apart. Villa made a few changes and completely changed the game. But once Villa equalised, you could see Fulham, there's a bit of panic set in, and Villa quickly scored the second and the third. And Wolves, I know they lost last week to West Ham, and I don't think they've won in the last 5 games, but in fairness to Wolves, their performances haven't been too bad as of late. And I'd just be a bit worried with Fulham here. Wolves used to be one of the most exciting teams to watch when they were first in the Premier League. And now they've just, it's like they've almost gone really conservative. And I think it'll be a low scoring enough affair. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Wolves away win. Sorry, Connor Daly. I know he's I'm a big Connor Daly fan, but I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it week in, week out.
You've been only trying in a couple of weeks. Of course, for those not listening before, it's 3 points for a correct score and 1 point for a correct result. So, Sam, 1-0 away for Wolves is what Shane says. Are you in agreement with that? Are you going to try and differentiate yourself early on, or how do you see it going?
Unfortunately, I'm in agreement with that. I think Wolves will get the job done. Now, being an Arsenal fan, I absolutely despise Wolves after what happened this season. I'll never forgive that 2-1 defeat when David Luiz got sent off for nothing. But then again, I think Fulham are struggling at home. They've lost their last 3. I'm pretty confident that they'll definitely go down. So, I think I'm going to go for a Wolves 2-1. I think they should have scored a lot more against West Ham, and West Ham really got away with it. And I know they won the reverse leg 1-0. And so I'm going to go for a Wolves 2-1 win. So hopefully get the 3 points.
Yeah, Sean, in fairness, I was coming into the game thinking Fulham, but the lads put up decent enough cases there. Are you broadly in agreement with a Wolves win here and Fulham potentially going down?
Yeah, look, I think that was probably a result that a lot of people said is one that you look back on at the end. The Fulham one that was against Villa as one that you get relegated by. I think Fulham's only hope is how poor Newcastle have been, and Newcastle without Callum Wilson. But Newcastle put in a good performance, albeit against Tottenham recently. And I just think with Wolves, I think they're starting to get a couple of players back, and Jimenez is in and around the place a bit more. But I don't know where the goals are going to come at times with Wolves. If Pedro Neto doesn't score, they need Neves or Moutinho to chip in from midfield. And again, I think this can be a really, poor game. I know Gary Neville said that on Monday night in a change, but I do think if Fulham have any chance really this year, I think if they can certainly pencil this game, and Sir Scott Parker has earmarked this game. Also, Wolves played Monday night and play Friday night short turnaround as well, which is probably a bit unfortunate for Wolves. But I'd be fancying Fulham, and I think they've got to win a game like this if they are to push on and stay in the league.
Yeah, they're still they're only 3 points off, albeit they played a game more. But yeah, like you said, with Scott Parker and the form, it just seems it's all going wrong for them. But so both lads broadly in agreement for a Wolves away win against Fulham. Sam, we'll stick with you for Manchester City versus Leeds, and it's incredible to say that City have won 27 out of the last 28 games. I don't know what you thought of the Dortmund game the other night, and then how do you see them at home to Leeds? I'm sure realistically.
I think that it'll be another comfortable City win. Actually, I know you're talking about Brian coming on next week. I made €100 bet with him back at the start of the season. I think City were sitting 13th, and I said, it was a few points, and I said, there's no chance they're not winning the league. Took €100 bet, and here we are. I think they drew to West Brom as well. I think literally the day after. But yeah, no, I think Pep's done an incredible job. Obviously, Ruben Diaz has transformed them. But I think they're going to concede this weekend. So I'm going to go for Man City 4-2. I think it's going to be a bit like the game against Southampton where they rested a few players. They're just off, they're just after the Champions League, so they won't be as fresh. Leeds will be fresh and ready to run. So I think 4-2. I'd back Rafinha definitely to get one anyway. And I think Leeds are better away from Ellen Road as well. So I'm going to go for a City 4-2. Nice high scoring game.
Brian Murphy, of course, not here to defend himself until next week.
Nope.
But Arsenal fan, that we're kind of praying you win so we can get the first ever official Arsenal fan TV segment on the Tackling.
Please God, please God.
Spend the best part of an hour time with Arsenal.
Ditch the predictions,
Just a great bet though. Poor Brian's not good.
I know. Yeah. He's got no saying it now. He's lost a few of them this season as well. It's not the only one.
Oh dear.
So Shane, City Leeds, you're broadly in agreement, and what did you think of the Dortmund? Because obviously we watched the game together. City it's hard to even thinking back at the game. City were good at times, and it was like the Pep Guardiola overthinking it again on trying to keep the ball, and then Dortmund got the equaliser, and then they got the winner. But are you kind of broadly in agreement there? They're going to make it 28 out of 29 wins.
Yeah, just on that game last night, it was. We were tempted. We were looking at Dortmund at 80-1 when they were 1-0 down, and they were just getting a bit on top, and then they scored. And of course, armchair punters were like, "Oh, we should have backed them," blah blah blah. But Jude Bellingham scored a goal and got booked for scoring a goal last night, and or Tuesday night. It was a disgrace.
And Emery
that
Chan.
Referee, Emery Chan, he gave away a penalty and then got booked for dissent, and the penalty was rescinded, but the dissent wasn't. You'd be fuming.
Good for the bet builders,
Good, yeah.
Ian was loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dortmund could have easily got a 2-2 draw there, and could have even just won the game. But in saying that, I think this game could be sort of similar to the United Leeds game when it was 6-2. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 6-2, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of goals. So I can see where Sam's coming from. And Sam brought up the bet there that he has with Brian. Me and Dan had an interesting bet against Man United and Arsenal, who's going to finish higher, but won't go into that, Dan. But,
I've already paid out justice.
He's already paid out, a bit like Paddy Power. So fair play to Dan.
And to Marcus.
And to Marcus, yeah. I just think City could run riot here. I know Leeds are going in fresh, but they just leave themselves so exposed. So I'm going to go for a 5-1 City win.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So a lot of goals, Sean.
See it happening.
Yeah. Over 5 goals there being the.
Yeah, that's the bet, lads, isn't it? Write that down.
I'm not sure. I think City will win, but I'm not sure how high scoring it'll be. I think City will be set up a little bit more street smart than that. I think in the last few weeks, you've kind of noticed the 3 or 4 players that have to play for Man City. I think we saw in the Leicester game, Rodri, De Bruyne, Diaz at the back. Obviously, Stones didn't play following the international break. And I think I'll play Fernandinho. I think I'll play 2-man defensive midfield. And Sterling obviously didn't start the other night. They've so much talent, Man City, that Champions League exertions isn't a problem for them. And I think they'll win. I think it'll be a lot more controlled. I don't think Pep will allow it to be one of those games. And I think they've enough power at the back these days that they aren't going to be, destroyed like they were by Leicester at the start of the season. So I'd be going for Man City. And I think it's going to be a control game from Man City, and it's just, you know, you're going to see the brilliance of Guardiola's coaching and how we can, like I said, just control matches.
Yeah, it's looking like a City game. So pencil that in as the overs are coming in on that anyway, followed by a Wolves away win at the start on Friday. So that'll set us up, Sam, for Liverpool at home to Aston Villa. Again, what did you make of them away to Madrid? And we were talking off air about Monday Night Football. And it's amazing how within 24 hours, it's almost like we got the answer to that debate with Trent Alexander-Arnold, or at least Gary's 1-0 up in that regard. But what did you think of that whole Trent thing and the Liverpool in general?
I don't know. I really like yesterday was. Thought their approach was just completely wrong. Like they were unbelievable against Arsenal on Saturday. Like grand, we were shite. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But I don't think they sat off Madrid from the first minute. You know, I thought they'd be straight up, try get in their face. The Trent debate, and there was a few messages sent in the WhatsApp defending Trent, saying he has to be on the plane. I do think the 2 goals were shocking, but again, like going forward, he's still unbelievable. And if he gets a better centre back, I think they made a good point about he needs someone telling him where to be. You know, like when Van Dijk's there, or even Gomez is there, pointing fingers, telling him where to go. It's a lot better than like Nat Phillips or Kabak, you know. So yeah, and then in terms of this game, I couldn't believe Liverpool lost their last 6 at home in the Premiership. Literally looking at the stats today, I was like, mental. But I think they will beat Villa. I think Grealish is still out with a shin injury. I think he had a setback. And I think Fabinho going back into midfield. My dad had been ranting on about it for weeks before Klopp finally did it. But yeah, I think that's made a huge difference for them. Like, he wasn't bad. He's not bad centre back, but I think they do just miss someone like that in midfield. So I'm actually going to go for a Liverpool 2-0. I think Jota being back is huge as well. And I think Villa just. I'm a big fan of Ollie Watkins, but he needs someone else up there with him, supporting him. So yeah, I think Poole will finally get their home win. They haven't won since that home win against Spurs, which is just crazy. So I think that has to come to an end eventually. So it'll happen this Saturday.
Yeah, it was like 6 defeats is pretty ridiculous when you say
And
that.
a draw.
Yeah.
West Brom.
Yeah, to draw home West Brom. Shane, Liverpool Villa, it wouldn't do much for your rep now if you gave Liverpool a home win and against Villa.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just currently Googling Jack Grealish fitness here.
He's tweeting away anyway.
He's watched M&F. Yeah.
I'm just reading an article that he should have been involved in Fulham. Maybe they didn't fancy him against Fulham.
He had a setback.
They thought yeah. I
thought you'd done your homework, like.
Obviously not.
I usually just Google it while I'm on air, and then it's just divine inspiration, Sam, and you win 5 in a row.
Whatever works.
Yeah, I know. So like, I don't think, like, with Liverpool, they've lost the last 6, as Sam said. I know Aston Villa aren't in great form. I know they won last week, but even still, I just, after watching the Real Madrid match last night, they were just so poor. Like Trent he played really well for Real Madrid there last night. Like that goal where he just headed it to Asensio, like that's shocking stuff. You could see what Carragher was saying, that maybe he's more of a midfielder. But the Kabak Phillips, that partnership is just destined for failure. So I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw.
Sean.
Yeah, I know. Watching Phillips and Kabak the other night kind of just reminded me of some of the teams that Arsene Wenger used to go into Europe with, you know, with the likes of Scalacci or Sylvester or De Joro at the back, Senderos. I just think with Liverpool, I think, there was something not right with them last night. Body language from everyone. Salah, he had that kind of look where, you know, Sanchez had it at Arsenal a lot of times, where you look around and you're kind of looking at everyone thinking, geez, aren't these good enough? And I thought it was the first time I'd kind of recently seen a lot of chinks in their armory. In terms of that, you know, this mentality monsters is kind of gone. Keita coming off after 40 minutes is not a Klopp thing to do. Obviously maybe he's not fit, God knows. I thought Thiago should have played at top. Look, I thought Thiago was okay against Arsenal. I think he's still not progressing the ball quick enough at times for Liverpool, where Liverpool are strongest at. But I don't think they got a kick in midfield against Kroos, Modric and Casemiro. And considering Modric is 35, Kroos ain't far behind him. I just didn't think Liverpool got anywhere near them. And Real Madrid exposed that channel. And I'm not sure if you remember the Brighton game where Dan Burn was partnered up against Trent Alexander-Arnold, and all Brighton played for that game was that diagonal, that 30-40 yard diagonal across Liverpool's backline in between, I think, Phillips, who played that night, and or Henderson maybe, against and Alexander-Arnold. And that's what Real Madrid did. Every time they got the ball, it was direct. It was, beating their midfield, if you like, and just playing and trying to get at Alexander-Arnold. And he had no real help from Mane, who I thought probably had his poorest performance I've ever seen from him. And I just think it's hard to know Liverpool, because ideally they'd like to rest a few players and try and get a bit more energy in the legs. Against Villa, I'd imagine Milner will probably come in, and maybe a couple of other changes, but they don't really have the strength and depth of Man City, and they've been relying on that kind of 15, 14 men to carry them through. And it's kind of proven where we haven't seen Jones recently enough, we haven't seen Chamberlain recently enough.
Why is that? Why is that? Not to get too far down.
I'm not sure about Jones, as I think he's very much different to their midfield, and I think he should be in their start midfield. But someone like Chamberlain, I don't know, maybe he's just not fit, maybe he hasn't got enough minutes. But just even going back to the night they played Villa in the FA Cup game when it was Villa's kids, Liverpool they played their strongest team. They didn't even get game time really into the likes of Chamberlain or the new left back they got, the Greek fella. So it's just been a bit strange what they've done, and I think it's kind of hurt them recently. And I kind of half fancy Villa here to get something from the game. And I see Emi Martinez making 9 or 10 saves really, and just being one of those games we've seen at Anfield over the last six or 7 weeks.
We'll probably do another interview, lads. What you reckon? Shame Arsenal again for not getting a chance.
Activate the buyout clause. Activate it. Go on, lads.
No buyout clause.
I remember that
the sell-on clause.
Yeah, do you remember the Arsenal Reading game, the 7-5? No, I 4-0 down after 20 minutes. He was in goal, and everyone on Twitter is going mad about that.
Yeah. He still owes us for that. He still won, I guess. But Palace versus Chelsea, Shane. Again, another kind of game that you manage always to nick a point out of.
Boring. This game's going to be so boring. So boring. Don't watch this game. Guarantee under 2.5. Like Palace are boring. Chelsea are boring. 1-0 Chelsea.
To West Brom, I guess.
I know, yeah. I suppose like Tuchel's got such a system going on. And fair play to him, like everyone knows their job. But then Thiago Silva just had like 30 minutes there, madness, 2 City yellow cards, and then the whole thing just went up in flames. In fairness, like Callum Robinson was just playing like prime Neymar, and just some of the West Brom lads were just pouring it on with step overs. Like Sam Allardyce was loving it. He was saying like, he was slagging the reporter, saying, we won't be last on match of the day tonight and all. But like
he's funny, Big Sam. Every time they've had a good result, he's on TalkSport the next morning. Something after the United game, he was on TalkSport, and I opened up TalkSport on Monday, or I saw it on Twitter, and there's Big Sam ranting away. And he's clever like that, isn't he?
He loves it.
Yeah. But in saying that, Chelsea just have to have too much quality here. So we're gonna go for a 1-0 Chelsea win.
Yeah, do you, Sam? I guess with Chelsea are playing straight after we record this on Wednesday night, just in case they get battered or something by Porto. But yeah, how do you see them getting it? And we're not even mentioning it, but away to Palace, do you think they'll?
Yeah, I'd agree. It's going to be a boring one anyway. I think that game on Saturday was mental. I don't know if Thiago Silva they brought him back too quick or what on earth happened. But even like the first yellow could have easily been a red. I think they're missing Christensen and Rudiger. I know Chelsea fans hate Rudiger, but his record this season has been unbelievable. So I think he'll be straight back in. They go back to the back 5, just keep the ball basically for 90 minutes, and I think they'll win 2-0. I've been very impressed by Tuchel. I think Lampard was a bit clueless, kind of like putting the players in the pitch, a bit like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just put the players out and let them do hope for the best. Whereas Tuchel actually tells them what to do. So I think it's no wonder their defense has gotten so solid. I know the Saturday just throws that up in the air, but I think that was just a freak result, so I wouldn't get too worried about it. So yeah, I think they'll definitely keep a clean sheet. I know Palace actually score more goals than people think. They love it, both teams to score. Palace, But I think just Chelsea's defense is rock solid. So I think 2-0. They won the reverse leg 4-0 as well. I think they're good in London. Like they'll beat Palace comfortably.
Yeah, Sean, I guess West Brom is a freak result. It's almost like the Villa 7-2 freak result from Liverpool. But then ultimately, a couple of months later, you could see the cracks appearing again in Liverpool and maybe references to that defeat. So would you be a little bit concerned? Because, it was pretty awful. I know they were down to 10 men, but Jesus, it was really bad.
Yeah, I just think with Chelsea, I think you're going to have to judge them after Tuchel's had a summer, and they have a lot of players that are still out on loan, and they're going to, I'd imagine, have a big overhaul. And I think they're going to, not that they're going to give an extraordinary amount of time to Tuchel, but I think they're going to give him a chance to let go of a few, and be interesting to see, because a full pre-season for a few of those guys, albeit the Euros are on, will be interesting to see what he does. I think they're a similar problem to Arsenal. I think they have a bit of deadwood, and I think when you change the managers that often, you do end up with a lot of players like that. When they were going well, Silva and Zuma were their big centre half partnership under Tuchel or under Lampard rather, and I was a bit critical of Zuma. I don't think he's up to much at that level of playing, and I think they're at the moment they have a lot of decent players, but I don't think they've anyone really performing at a world class level or anything really remotely close to that. And they always had Hazard, they always had a Fabregas, Azpilicueta was that couple of years younger, similar with Marcus Alonso, and I think they're quite an aging side in that regard. And I certainly see a bit of an overhaul for them. But Palace, you don't know what you're going to get from Palace. It's probably the game that Tuchel would least want after it. I think you just don't know what you're going to get from Palace, and any Palace that can turn up. And I thought Palace were typical Palace against Everton, conceded a lot of efforts, and then they get that one bit of chance or that bit of good fortune, and it just falls to Batshuayi, and they claim a result. And it's, you're sitting there scratching your head wondering how Palace are in the division every year when it's, Roy Hodgson just churns out results. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them to take points off Chelsea. I mean, they've taken points against off Arsenal recently, against United at home. So I think Chelsea are in for a tough old night, and it's Saturday night as well, which doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, lads, just I want to maybe bring up Timo Werner before we head off Chelsea. Maybe to you, Sam. Like I was, and Sean will tell you.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited for him coming in, and I think I really lost faith in him when Germany are 1-1 against North Macedonia, and he misses that chance. I think that, and I think he's been given the freedom of North Macedonia after that. But it's honestly one of their greatest ever wins, and Timo's to blame. Is there any future of him at Chelsea? Is there any examples of players that maybe have struggled for so long and then get their act together in the second season? Or
the first one that comes to head is just Torres. Like, I don't know why every time he misses a sitter, I just think of that one at Old Trafford. But yeah, Werner, I don't know what's going on. Like, at the start of the season anyway, he looked really good at like dribbling and stuff, and then the second he gets anywhere within goal, like 5 yards out, 6 yards out, he just panics. And like even in fantasy, I'll bring him in every couple of weeks, think he'll get a goal, and then that's it. And I remember, I think it was against Newcastle or West Brom. I can't remember. Newcastle, I think he scored at Stamford Bridge. Lucky old goal, and you think, oh, that's it. His confidence is back. He'll kick on. And then here we are. He's still missing sitters for fun. That one against Macedonia was ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know. I still think he will eventually come good, and I really thought that like Tuchel coming in will be really good for him. I thought Lampard definitely, just like Harry Redknapp said, like, who the fuck wants the Germans? I thought he'd be like, no surprise, Kai Havertz and Werner struggled under him. So I really thought like Havertz has looked a bit better the last few weeks. I know he was playing well for Germany there as well, bar the Macedonia game, obviously. So I think Werner will still eventually, he'll kick on eventually. But yeah, it might just be next season. Because up until goal, he's grand. It's just literally putting the ball in the net. He can't do it. Which I think it'll turn eventually.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Sam. Shane, Timo.
Yeah, I don't think his head's gone. I just think he needs the season to be over as soon as possible. And then like just going back to Chelsea West Brom game, the Mount goal, the ball came across like Werner, like if he was a confident striker, he'd have just put it in himself. Instead, he took a touch and it just happened to set up Mount perfectly. So, but you could see like just that I think his head's gone, but I don't think I'd give up on him yet. Like give him a few, like the summer off, or what I suppose this go to the to go to the Euros. That's not ideal, but maybe they won't pick him or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he gets like a good pre-season and Tuchel can, put the arm around him, I think that's what he needs. I feel like if you were to shout at him, he'd mentally break down and start crying. So I wouldn't give up on him just yet, but just put the arm around him and
Tender love.
hopefully a bit of love. That's all he needs, a bit of love.
Yeah, Sean, the prime example I can think even from last weekend, Timo's chance when he should have finished, like Harry Kane gets top assist of the season, right? And he should have squared that ball for his second goal against Newcastle. But he's like, no, I'm going to finish this because that's a chance. And Timo's is so much a better chance than that, and he squares it. So that shows you maybe Kane can do both, where he can finish when he wants to, but also can get the assist. Where Timo, no commons, I guess. That's why he squared it.
Yeah, but thankfully Kane didn't square it against Croatia when it mattered, and I suppose that's the main thing. The thing about Werner is like some of those players you think like, God, you need fans there to properly help the player settle in and stuff. But God, I mean, it would be poisonous at Chelsea if the Chelsea fans were watching Timo Werner on that left wing at the far side shooting into I think it's the match of Harden stand there. I mean, the absolute poisonous. I remember Torres was getting awful stick. Chelsea fans have done it in the past. I wouldn't want to think about it really. I don't know about Werner. I didn't see a lot of him playing the Bundesliga. I know you did, Dan. You can tell he's got a bit of talent, but I think he's one of those players. I think he's a little bit like Aubameyang, where if the supply isn't there or the team stops the supply and stops them playing, I don't think he offers anything. And that's all right being a goal scorer, but if you're someone like Harry Kane, I always said the best strikers get man of the match without scoring, and someone like an Ollie Watkins can do that well. Maybe Timo Werner needs to find a way of that, because at the moment it's a bit poisonous.
Burnley Newcastle, moving on to this big game. We'll go to you, Sam. Steve Bruce, he was the talk. He's been talking. The podcast has died down. Sean's gone very quiet. Go on.
I believe in Steve Bruce.
Yes.
Like Sean, big fan of him. I think Newcastle fans are just the amount of stick they point at poor old Brucey. Like he's inherited shite. He's given absolutely no. I know Joelinton and stuff were bad signings, but I doubt they were his. I think this year as well they got absolutely scummed with injuries. Like Callum Wilson getting injured. I know St. Maximan as well with COVID didn't really come back the same. I think Almiron was out for a bit as well. And yeah, I just think that they've been really unlucky. I remember they beat Everton 2-0 at Goodison, and they were unbelievable, just picking off Everton for fun. Wilson looked like he was back to his best, and they were flying. And yeah, I just think they've been really unlucky, and they definitely should have beaten Spurs as well. They created an XG of 4 against Spurs, so even that's without their best players. So yeah, I think he's getting a lot of harsh criticism. It should be pointed at Mike Ashley instead of himself. And then when it comes to Burnley, I know Shane's a big fan of them, which tells you all about Shane as a person.
Yeah.
I despise Burnley. They're just complete anti-football. Like Chris Wood in the heads. I don't know. Ashley Westwood's an absolute scumbag. But mind you, I still think they'll draw with Newcastle here. I think originally I was going to go for 2-2, but I'm going to go for 1-1. Just because it's at Turf Moor, which is such a kip. I can't see there being over 2 goals, So yeah, I think it'll be a 1-1. I'd like to think Newcastle will win, and I would love to see them win. But I think Burnley will get the draw. Yeah.
Has there ever been over 2 goals in Turf Moor? Probably not.
I actually don't think so.
Frank Lampard's Chelsea won, I think, was it 3-0 or 5-0 there? Pulisic got a hat-trick, so maybe Frank.
And that was great to see. Even I was celebrating that. Like anything against Burnley, I'll appreciate.
Frank.
These I'm trying to remember what they call Stephen Kenny, but these football guys come on the podcast every week, slag your Burnley Town, and one by one you just nip them in the bud, beat them in a tiebreak or whatever, and you're still here standing, Shane. So take it away and defend Burnley Town again.
I thought Vidra's goal last week, the big ball up to Chris Wood, knocks it down, Vidra, bang. That's football. None of this bullshit.
Ozzy's that's where would be crying right now, Shane.
No, don't worry. Forget about the midfield. Just kick it from the defence up to the attacker, knock it down, and score a goal or have a shot, And just to touch on Sam's point about the expected 4 goals for Newcastle, that's actually outrageous. Spurs, genuinely, they should be ashamed of themselves. Like Jose's. We'll get on to Jose, but Jose, he's already distanced himself from the players. He knows how bad that defense is, and he doesn't want anything to do with them. To have an expected goals of 4 against Newcastle or over 4, like I'd be disappointed if Park Celtic had something like that. Like that's really worrying. But moving on to the match, yeah, maybe mightn't be the most amount of goals, but still can't see past my Burnley Town. So I'm gonna go Burnley Town 1-0.
Wow.
Yeah, I could see another goal of the season from Vidra when Chris Wood knocks it down to him. 1-0, smelly win, 3 points. Sean Dyche, Burnley Town. See you next year.
We'll have to see between. I know you and Sean, between the two of you, do good Sean Dyche impressions. If feel free to do it now, Sean. But you kind of don't want to go over this all ground of last week, Sean, with Burnley, but against Newcastle, how do you see? Can you see them nicking a point? It was probably disappointing enough that they couldn't hold on to that lead last week.
Yeah, no, it was. I think when you kind of sacrificed a few things recently to try and score a few more goals, like I'm not sure with this game. I mean, Newcastle, I mean, if they play with that intensity, they'll definitely cause problems against Burnley. But whether they have that bit of quality to put the ball in the back of the net, which obviously, as people say, is one of the hardest things to do in football. I don't know if you could really call this game. I think it's going to be a really competitive game. And I don't know. I think Joe Willock's a big player for Newcastle because I think he has something that I don't think any of the other midfield three have. If you play Hendrick, Longstaff, and Shelby,
and just to cut across, Jeff Hendrick obviously didn't play last week as well.
Yeah, and I think Willock's got that directness, that ability to get into the box and score a goal. Interesting that Sean Longstaff has come back into favour. I know they've had a bit of hard times there. Newcastle fans are one of the reasons, or another bone to pick at Steve Bruce is Longstaff's, and the two Longstaff not playing. Talk to them. I think one of them or two of them are out of contract, and I think him coming back into the squad helps them. And if I was to go anywhere, I'd fancy Newcastle to win. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be putting any money on it.
Yeah, Shane, we'll go to your Moisey boy, your J-Lings, and you were it's almost since you've come on the podcast. So I laughed when you did the J-Lings the first time, the second time, third time. Yeah, fair enough, he's doing well. And now it's just you come in, you do your Moisey boy, your J-Lings, and he delivers for you every single time. And he's the reason you're still in that chair.
Yeah, I mean, I kept the faith. He kept the faith in me, and I'm still here. I mean, look at that first goal. It looks like he's playing at a different speed to everyone else. He's just like every time he scores a goal or gets an assist, I'm like, there's another 5 million for Man United. There's another 5. There's another 5. They're quoting 30 million. They're quoting 30 million. Like, what is he? 28. He's in his prime. Like, we should be looking at 50 million. Genuinely, this man can't be stopped, and he could bring England to the Euros and win the whole thing. I could see him lifting the trophy. I wouldn't be shocked. And Moisey boy, he's doing his thing. I mean, like, Leicester are a good team. I was a little bit disappointed with their performance against City. I think Maddison's a big miss. I'm not sure if he's fit this week, but even if Maddison's playing, I'm still sticking with the Hammers, with Moisey and Jesse. I know Antonio came off injured there in the last game. That's a bit worrying, all right. But Jesse's got a strong back. He can hold the rest of the team up. So I'm going 2-1, Jesse brace, and we'll give Kelechi a goal as well.
You know, you're a big fan of you're a subtle big fan of Kelechi, I think.
I am a big fan. Yeah, big fan.
Sam, but like West Ham have just, like, even looking at the table, like, this is actually a massive game, because if they could win this, they're a little bit clear, Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool behind them, but then they're only 1 point behind Leicester in third place, and then you're thinking it's really, really on. I know a draw is a good result for them here as well, but if they could nick a win, it'd be unbelievable.
I don't understand West Ham at all. I don't know how they're fourth, or don't know where they're getting these results from. And like, even like some of those lineups Moisey puts out, like I think at Old Trafford he's there starting like a 4-5-1 with like Noble, Rice, Souček. Like some games he'll literally go out and like you'll aim to not score. It's ridiculous. And then they'll go and win they'll go and like they're fourth, so fans can't say anything. But yeah, no, I'm going to go for the reverse. I'm going to go for a Leicester 2-1. I think they're going to get revenge. I know West Ham beat them 3-0 early in the season. I think Leicester something like 70% possession in that game. And West Ham just picked them off on the break. And like that's what West Ham live for. They need a team who steps up and they can just pick them off on the break. So I think that's why, in a way, I know Harvey Barnes and Maddison being out and they've gone back to the back five. I think that could actually suit them here because they could sit off West Ham. The Olympic Stadium, load of space for Vardy. I think they'll just sit off. And I think, Kelechi and Vardy get the job done. So I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think Jay Lings will get his goal, obviously. I can't believe how well he's been doing. But yeah, Antonio, I think Antonio might be back as well, but I'm still going to go for a Leicester 2-1. I think West Ham are due a loss. They were blessed against Wolves, and against Arsenal as well. I know they raced into the 3-0 win, but then they got absolutely battered for the next 70, 75 minutes. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm back in Leicester here.
Interesting. Yeah, Sean, before we get your thoughts on this game, I guess one thing, would West Ham be where they were with fans? Because I think the fans, it's not Newcastle Steve Bruce level at the start of the season, but it was probably the next in the Premier League, David Moyes, West Ham, David Moyes coming back. They hate the owners there. And it's just gone so right. But is that a massive factor being the behind closed doors? And Olympic Stadium isn't they just kind of shout at the players the whole time, really, don't they?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a massive factor. I think it's probably a factor for them to go away from home against some sides. But I also think the fact that it's a strange season as well, with games coming thick and fast. I mean, I always think with a team, you should know everyone's best 11. Problems that some sides have placed. Tottenham, you don't know their best back four. You don't know Arsenal's best 11 this year with Liverpool. Whereas last year with Liverpool, you know their best 11. Everyone does. And that's what with West Ham. Yeah, they can tweak it, but their consistency really, and it's very easy then to bring one or two players in as opposed to changing 3 or 4. So I think all that has suited them. I think it's going to be an interesting game how West Ham set up. I think they've been a little bit overcautious in recent times, and I think they could do similar against Leicester. And I think Leicester will not want to give any space. I think Sam's right. I think they will play 5 at the back. Leicester again, keep with that. And I think Leicester will win it because they know that Leicester are out of European competition as well. This is their main focus. I know they're still in the FA Cup, but they can really focus on this game. West Ham, missing Rice, I think will eventually catch up with them. Noble, I'm not sure how many games Noble's going to be able to play. Below Noble, I don't think that they have anything really. So yeah, I kind of gone with Leicester on this. But fairness to David Moyes, he's got West Ham going, and I remember that 3-0 game. He had COVID, so he was isolating, and they won. And you're right, Dan. Around then, it was kind of Moyes is the first manager to kind of go, or the one with the most amount of dissatisfaction. But it'd be interesting to see what West Ham do. I mean, if they don't finish the season strongly, I think they can go back to 13, 14th place. I think a few teams have had this season where they've Southampton a few years ago. You think of Sheffield United, obviously last year. You just got to take your chance and get European football. And if they don't do it, I think it'll be a major disappointment.
On to the big game of the weekend, I guess, on paper, at least the 4:30 Sunday game, Shane. Master Sunday, just before it really kicks off, probably around 7 or 8. Spurs with Manchester United, 4:30.
The undercard. Yeah, we go way back to the reverse fixture where Spurs beat us 6-1. We as United fans, and the team itself, we have to be out for blood here. We could beat them 6-1. We could do a number on them here. They're that bad at the back. Jose and the defense are just they're on a different hymn sheet. Jose, he hates all the players at the back. They're brutal. And he was asked about how good he is as a coach, and he's still saying that he's still one of the best coaches out there. But he's just been throwing the players under the bus. Usually he just parks the bus. Now he's just throwing his defenders under the bus. And he's blessed to have one of the best players in the world and Harry Kane up front. But I really think we could do serious damage here. and we have to go out with that mindset of, just be utterly rootless. So in saying that, I don't think United were great against Brighton. That first half performance was very poor, and then I suppose the quality shone through. But it just, in the way that Brighton were set up throughout the game, they just had a way better structure than us. But then I suppose Ali just has the players at his disposal, and we just went down and we got the result. But yeah, I think we can win, and I'd love to see us go out there and absolutely batter the Spurs.
Are you going to put 6-1 up? That's what we're wondering here.
I don't think I'll quite go 6-1 because that was a. I'll go 4-1. I'm happy with 4-1. James, J-Man, friend of the pod.
He commented anti-Tottenham podcast there last week on YouTube.
Yeah, well, we're very anti-Tottenham this week, because I know you three lads probably are going to be bigging up Spurs, but like, again, like 4 expected goals against Newcastle. Like, jeez, bad. Anyway, move on, Dan. I'll be here all night.
I'll move on. So, let's talk a little bit about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We always like asking new people on the podcast just his reaction. Really,
United fans are the gift that keeps giving. Like, listening to him going about they're going to go win 6-1 away to Spurs. Like, I can't remember the last time United.
I said
originally you're saying they could go out for blood.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to actually go out there and go for Spurs. United, this would be 0-0. It has it written all over it. Tottenham with no Europa League. Obviously, they managed to get themselves knocked out somehow. So I think their bus will be nice and fresh. Then Ollie obviously won't have the balls to go for it. I think, they drew 0-0 with Arsenal at the Emirates. We were missing Saka, our main man. They drew 0-0, I think, with Chelsea, Liverpool, City at home. I was impressed with them away to City, which is about the only game I'm impressed with Ollie this season. And that's literally when City come out, they can win 2-0 on the break. So yeah, I think the idea that United are going to go out here and smash Spurs is just ridiculous. I'd say it's more likely that Spurs could actually just pick them off. I think Son might be back as well, and they will be more fresh. But yeah, so I think Ollie's absolutely useless. I think he actually does suit these United players, though. They want a manager who they they don't have to listen to. They don't have to get any flack. They can go out and play well when they want to. They can go and get knocked out of whatever competition. He'll still be smiling, still be laughing. And then Bruno will score the odd banger against West Brom, and they'll all be happy. So yeah, I just think United fans are hilarious. And the idea that Greenwood should be in the Euro squad is it's brilliant. And then I could go on about Mourinho for the rest of the podcast. That win against Arsenal, the 2-0, I've never been so disappointed. I remember everyone talking about Spurs going on to win the league and stuff like this after it. I just thought they literally had 2 shots against Arsenal at their absolute worst. And yeah, I just think it's beautiful now to see how badly it's gone wrong. So yeah, 2 terrible managers set up perfectly for a nice crap 0-0. And I won't be watching anyway. I'll be watching the Masters.
Shane, right to reply before Sean, you come in.
Watching the Masters at 4:30. What's he watching?
Might be a storm or something, Shane. Yeah, remember?
Bernard
Langer. Bernard
Langer. Mike Weir. You'd be watching Mike Weir there, wouldn't
you? Tiger won at like 6:00 last time, no? You never know. Hopefully a nice storm to make me miss the United match,
Shane, do you agree with any of that? Any of that slander stuff?
That's slander as usual. Look, we're gonna win. We're gonna win 4-1. Right. So Sean's comment next. The mind Sam. He's a blow-in. Another blow-in. Where do you get all these blow-ins from, Dan?
Where'd you get this guy from? No, I'm gonna go with Tottenham. I think this game's just made for Harry Kane against Lindelof and Maguire. I mean, he's too much now. He's got too much quality. I think he'll just absolutely bully them. I think not having Europa League football is massive for them. I think Manchester United are going to run out of energy. I think they'll have enough to keep top 4. But you look at the game, the amount of games that Maguire has played, I mean, it's absolutely staggering. Across international break, 2 games there. I think they have a lot of issues kind of behind the scenes. Look, I think United are good. I just don't think they'll ever be good enough to win the league, and I think ultimately that's that's where you have to get to. I just think Tottenham, with that quality, with that experience, I think they'll beat them. Yeah, I think they'll beat them pretty well. And Harry Kane to score and to give an interview of note that, you know, he wants to stay, if you like, and score goals and break the record. And
like Sol Campbell's one.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later they'll lose to Sheffield United will do a number on them or something, and they'll lose. And you know, the Harry Kane moving on, the debate will royal. I'm just looking forward to. I presume Roy Keane's going to be on Sky unless he's a big golf fan. So 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock after United have won, Roy Keane's gone mad. He wants Harry Kane to leave, and it was that game, one of the first games back after lockdown, that Roy Keane had that infamous Maguire debate in De Gea.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully he's on, because I know
And
he hates
Maguire.
Scotland.
De Gea.
I'd save that, Patrice. I'd save that.
Moment we've been waiting for: Sheffield United versus Arsenal. I'll let you go first, Sam, and maybe warn Shane. And I know he's coming for us, but well, that was absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about Mikel Arteta. I'm a massive Mikel Arteta fan, still am. That was the first time, and I know we've had bad results. I sat there and went, "Oh, what are we doing? What are we trying to do?"
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really don't know what happened on Saturday. Yeah, like I was a bit skeptical over Arteta over November, December. I think they lost 3-0 to Villa on my birthday, and I was pretty pissed off after that. But since Christmas, you know, like that Chelsea 3-1, bringing in Saka, Smith Rowe, just going to a 4-2-3-1. It was great to see, and like we really turned the corner. But for some reason, I like Arteta, but he's a bit of a freak. Like, he'll never just, he finds something that works, and he has to change it. I think he's looking too much up to Pep. He wants to just, like, if he has something that's working, he wants to like twink it a bit. And like, you know, like against Liverpool there on Saturday, like the idea of playing Aubameyang on the left, like it makes sense if you're going to actually attack. You know, if you're going to play your striker left wing, you need to actually go for them. You need to play balls over Trent, play balls over Nat Phillips. Don't sit in your own half for 90 minutes. And even just like the passing from the back, for some reason, they just decided to ditch it. And he sees Pepe as some kind of target man where he can lump it up to him and hope to win the second ball. So yeah, Saturday was very, very demoralising. But of course, missing our main man, Xhaka. We need a leader in there in the centre mid. I think it's no surprise. You know, you bring in I don't mind Ceballos, but I think he needs to play against a team who don't really press him. So obviously against Liverpool, it didn't really make much sense bringing him in. So I think we really miss Xhaka. But hopefully we turn it around this weekend, or even tomorrow night. If we get a win tomorrow night, all's forgiven. Like, I don't mind the odd terrible result as long as there's some progress. But yeah, no, I think we should stick with Arteta. Hopefully he can just keep picking. Like, I don't know why he keeps changing the team. He needs to just find his best team. Start playing Pepe more as well, I think. I know he was shocking again on Saturday, but he needs a link man, you know. But yeah, that's about it. I think we'll win on Sunday. I think it's setting up for the jinx. I know Bramall Lane hasn't been too kind to us. I always think of the Jagielka in the sticks, losing 1-0. That was
we were in Blackpool then. Do you remember? It was around New Year's time, and we watched that. And
we were still a good team at the time, or at least we thought we were a good team at the time.
Oh, that was a very dark day. Jesus.
I watched it a few times because it's been on Sky a few times. It's like Sheffield United's greatest ever Premier League game. God, it's awful. Baptiste
made a few good saves, to be fair to him.
He did,
kept out, yeah. But no, I think we'll win. If we don't win on Sunday, I don't know what to think. I'll still obviously back Arteta as much as I could. But yeah, I think we'll win 3-1. I just hope he plays either Aubameyang or Lacazette through the middle. Don't try the two of them. It doesn't work when you're playing a back four. Like, so yeah, I'm going 3-1. I'll let Shane do his best.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Well, I don't usually write stuff down, Dan, you know, when I come on, but I thought there was a few interesting things that I saw during the week, so I thought I wrote them down. So Arteta has managed 50 games, and Unai Emery has managed 50. He managed 51 games, right?
He's a criminal.
So, now, leave Unai. Unai is a football genius once I read these stats out. So Unai got 25 wins, 13 draws, 13 losses. Arteta, after 50 games, so obviously one game less, has 21 wins, 12 draws, 17 losses. So Unai now has 4 more wins than Arteta. I mean, then I also wrote Arteta only in the job because of his looks, question mark. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, he's not a tactical genius. He has no personality. How are we supposed to trust the process? You know?
He can speak English at least. That's a start.
Yeah, well, come on, Shane. Like, Unai Emery's interviews, like that's what we mean. Like,
It's actually it's not spoken enough about how much Arsenal bottled Champions League in the Emirates final. Yeah, absolutely bottled it. And I think that was, if the club got top four, got to Europa League final, could have gone in with a bit of progress. But if just after that, I mean, obviously Claude, who passed away recently on Arsenal Fan TV, he was very adamant that Emery should have been sacked that summer after the Champions League and after the Europa League final. And look, of course, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but God, Emery destroyed Arsenal in the finish of it.
The man tried playing Torreira high up the pitch. I don't know why. You don't know what he like.
He got
I didn't
sacked
mind
number
Emery
10.
at first.
he got sacked the day he brought on Torreira. The day after he brought Torreira on and left Lacazette on the bench, I think.
Oh,
It's
like
against-
some of the like playing Xhaka, like CDM in the middle three. Like he's getting paid to pick these teams. He's no idea how to use his own players. I don't know. Like, the fact Shane's even bringing up Unai, like, we've all moved on from him. You need to move on to
But
Unai.
he didn't, because last night before you come in, Shane,
I haven't.
we watched Unai Emery's press conference. He put on all these songs about him.
Good evening. There was another song called Bad Evening. That was a personal favorite of mine.
Don't forget the 6-0 against Barcelona. God, he was in charge.
Oh,
for
PSG, yes. Sorry, I thought that was
PSG
us.
6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus, I was like,
Yeah, so
you'd be lucky to play against Barcelona.
I have another thing written down here, actually.
no.
Aubameyang equals Ozil. Must have just been a little bit of free thinking there.
No, I'm going to go, I agree with you, Shane.
Big contract.
Yeah.
He's got all his goal
I'm
line
not sure.
and he's
No, I
just
don't buy it for a second.
I
He's
just
playing
don't-
in the wrong position.
Yeah,
Is
I don't think he should be captain. I think that's too
No.
much pressure
Yeah.
on someone like that. Obviously, that's probably part of the reason they wanted to sign him. But I agree with Sam. Like, I think there's stats whenever he starts as the central striker, I think he's got 6
Scores,
goals in
like-
his last 6 starts.
Yeah.
I even like the idea of playing maybe Lacazette as a kind of a false number 9, if you like, and play him up behind him. It can work, but I
Didn't
don't
work
think
against
I don't.
Spurs,
Yeah, I don't think he's as bad as an Ozil. I mean, you got to remember last summer. He was probably the best player in England for a while. The 2 goals against City and Chelsea, then goal against Liverpool in the cup. He's had a lot of difficulties with his personal life. I think his mum was sick and stuff like that. A few other issues. I think he's someone who, I know he played well without fans. I think he needs fans to drive him on.
I think he's, like, we had these conversations with Mesut Ozil and we gave him so much time, and we ended up with a year down the line and maybe 18 months down the line before everyone realised we'd made a massive mistake. And remember, at the time between Ozil and Sanchez, I was absolutely delighted to get Ozil on that massive contract. I was absolutely over the moon. And 6 months later, he'll come good. Unai Emery, why is he not playing Ozil? Why is Arteta not playing Ozil? Oh yeah, Ozil's not good enough. He doesn't want to play. And I think we'll get to that situation with Aubameyang in 18 months.
But I think the difference is, like, even I know everyone looks back as Ozil has been terrible since the contract, but like, I don't think he was terrible. I think when he played, he wasn't. I remember against Chelsea, he played and he was class, and suddenly he's just out of the team. I don't know what's going on behind the doors.
Well, remember the Leicester performance? He was the best I've seen him play was actually
unbelievable.
under Unai Emery, yeah.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, he's just out of the team for the next 6 months. No word mentioned. Managers won't say a thing. All that thing with China and stuff like that. I don't know what was going on. So, like, the idea, Aubameyang, grand, he's been dropping a few terrible performances, but I think it's no coincidence. I know against Olympiacos through the middle, he was bad, but he was getting chances. You could see he was, like, visibly pissed off he wasn't scoring. So I think the idea that Aubameyang, it's such an easy thing to say, he signed a contract, hasn't scored a few goals, suddenly he's Ozil. But he wasn't scoring before the contract. He literally, I think he got a penalty against United at Old Trafford. But obviously he's going to score against United. So that was literally it. He scored against Fulham and then he went 6 games like that without a goal, signs the contract, and suddenly he's Ozil. Like, he wasn't scoring before. It was obviously the system wasn't working, or whatever Arteta was trying to do wasn't working with him. So that's more my worry. I don't think he's the next Ozil. I think we just need to find a position. Like there is obviously a position for him. I think we need to just play him there. Like, this idea that he's a left wing, it's crazy. It worked in a back three because he could kind of tuck in and play striker almost, and he didn't have to work back. But when you're playing Aubameyang, like your main striker, basically playing left wing back against Trent, again, that comes back to the manager, I think. I don't think there's any of this Ozil nonsense. Aubameyang, and when it comes to his body language, I'd say he's more just kind of pissed off being asked to do that kind of role. You know, he wants to be up front, he wants to be in the box. He doesn't want to be tracking right backs for 90 minutes. Like,
I agree. I think that night against Benfica, I know he missed a couple of chances, but he was in getting the chance. You'd rather someone getting the chance. I also think he plays best as like a second striker, as someone kind of in off the left, and you can do that when Tierney's far forward, but obviously Tierney's out for 4 to 6 weeks. I think he's going to end up striker. I think he's going to play Martinelli off the left now. Maybe that means Lacazette doesn't play. We've no left back cover. The youngest guy, I think, is 19 or 20 who plays left back. I think that's Joe Lopez, and just seeing there that he's been training. So I mean, it's not a good sign for Arsenal on that side without Tierney, but I think Aubameyang's got to play number 9.
Just his best performance, and the thing that does give me hope, was the home against Leeds United. As far as I remember, he was the number 9, and he was absolutely amazing there. But I do go back to another contract. Like Theo Walcott decided to play well and he was again
signed the thing.
He had me, and he had me number 9. Theo Walcott's going to fire in Thierry Henry 2.0, and at the time you weren't a million miles away from that. And Jesus Christ, he fell off a cliff. And as Sean mentioned in the podcast, or might have mentioned to me, he's like, interviewed recently saying he wanted his biggest regret was not win the league with Arsenal. It's like, that was your chance. Decided not to play, and I have a fear it could happen with Aubameyang. But
at least Saka signed his contract and he's played well out the back of it. Got the number 7 jersey.
There's no coincidence Saka wasn't on that pitch out of all the players, because I think he wouldn't have stood for that, what was happening.
No, definitely not. Like, best young player in the league.
I expect us to win, because there's a lot of people listening to this on Friday. I expect us a massive performance from against Slavia Prague, and I expect and demand a performance from Aubameyang, but we'll see.
Yeah, you deliver.
Is Saka, is he fit? Is he going to be playing?
Yeah, he's back. He's back
training today.
And just on that, I think those lads were nearly fit for the weekend, and Arteta kind of said, right, if I say they're injured, they'll give these lads a chance.
Yeah, Xhaka was training as well.
Something up with that.
Yeah. Smith Rowe's back as well, so be careful here, Shane. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think Slavia Prague will do one on you, and then I think a bad evening on Sunday evening. I think it's going to be 0-0.
0-0.
You don't have a great.
Sorry, it's not often I cut across, but 0-0. Come on, Shane. Come on. Think about it. You want to win.
The 5-time champion does what he wants, okay? And it's going to be 0-0, right? It's going to be a bad few days for Arsenal, but look, we're all going to come back. We'll be here next week. We'll be trusting the process, and we'll go again.
You won't, mate. Yes, before we'll celebrate and laugh, mate.
Yeah. You get Brian.
You get Brian on it ASAP.
We'll stick with you, Sean. We've one way over time.
Drive on.
Yeah, drive on. West Brom home to Southampton. Sam, quick word on this. Big Sam against Southampton. Obviously got a big win against Burnley.
Yeah, I fancy Southampton here. I don't know what happened in that West Brom Chelsea game, but I think they're going to be brought straight back down to earth. I think I'm going to go for Southampton 3-1. I think Danny Ings being back is huge. He looked class against Burnley. The mighty Burnley took the piss out of. So I think him and Armstrong would do a job on West Brom. I can't really make anything of Big Sam. You know, he came in, you think he's going to make them all solid. I know we spanked them 4-0. And then now they actually are scoring more goals, but they're still dodgy at the back. I'd be quite confident that Southampton would do the job here.
Shane?
I think I'd take Sam on there. Football's a mad game. Like, they won 5-2, and I was against 10 men, but Big Sam, he could make all the lads feel good about that. You know, he could big all those lads up.
Mm.
You know, I'd say he goes and he has a couple of pints of wine, and he rings them all up after the match and tells them that they're great players and they're going to do this. I wouldn't be surprised now if the West Brom lads, you know, really started running through walls for Big Sam. And I'm not saying that they're going to stay up, but they could make a good fist of it. And if they want to do that, they've got to be getting points off teams like Southampton and other teams that are in and around them. So I'm going to go for the cheeky Sam Allardyce win here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I I said the Saints were rubbish last week, and I was right for about 30 minutes. Burnley were dominated, and then I don't know what happened. But I turned it off after 30 minutes, and my Burnley Town were 2-0 up. But yeah, Sam Allardyce, Sam Allardyce, 2-1, Big Sam. Ralph started crying again.
Yeah, Sean, quick word on, I guess, Darragh O'Shea, because he came off injured in terms of update on his injury, and West Brom in general. Like, I guess the 5-2 was a pretty freak result probably, but I guess they're way too far back, surely, to even challenge for staying up.
No, I think Big Sam can do it. I think Shane's right. I think he'll be getting into them players saying, look, all we can do is put serious pressure on them. I think they're going to exploit weaknesses in Southampton, which I think that are there. And yeah, I'm confident that West Brom will win. I think a lot of those players are confidence players. They have that bit of quality. I think they probably had the best January out of most of the teams in the league. The guy in midfield, Yokalushu, and the CDM, Diane up front, Maitland Niles on loan, who Arsenal could probably do with Tierney's injury. And I think I fancy West Brom here. And Ralph Hasenhüttl will get a welcome to the old classic English football heritage from Big Sam. And I've just looked, it's on Sky Sports, so I know Big Sam will be wanting to put a show on M&F.
Yeah, big it up.
Him and Sammy Lee texting Cara last Monday Night Football. He'll be drilling into Carragher to put a bit of positivity on it.
That text was hilarious. Like, what's the story of your mate not making trend for the England squad? Brighton Everton, lads, final game. We're here. Shane, again, and you came down to this game last week. First time ever we've had a tie break. It could come down to this, especially with your 0-0, like Sheffield United and Arsenal. Bring Sam back into it. Tit for tat, maybe West Brom, Southampton's a draw, and it comes down to Brighton versus Everton. Who are you going with?
I think I'm going to get 3 points in the Sheffield result, but look, we'll see. I think Brighton have been really bright there in the last few weeks.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh, Christ!
And you have permission to edit that out. That actually wasn't written down. That just came out.
For anyone still listening, just gets punished with a joke like that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. But yeah, they played well against United. I just think United had the quality just to beat them, but they went on and had a good result against Newcastle, beat Southampton, decent-ish performance against Leicester. So, and then looking at Everton, it was a real classic Everton performance in the sense that they had a good few chances against Palace, but they just don't take them, and then they end up dropping 2 points. So I can see this being a score draw. So I'm going to go for 1-1.
Over to you, Sam. Final game.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call. I'm a huge Graham Potter fan. I actually wanted to be at Arsenal last season after all the Unai's mess. I was hoping Potter would come in. And then again, I also think Ancelotti's very overrated. I think Everton are so bad at home, but this will all be turning its head on Monday. I think Everton will actually win. This is the type of match they win. They're, Brighton, they'll come out, they'll try to play all the football. Everton will just hit them on the break, they'll bully them. So I'm going to go for an Everton 2-1 win. Poor old Brighton, they play lovely football with even Maupay and the heads who can't put the ball in the net. So yeah, I'm going to go for an Everton 2-1 win. I think at Goodison Park, I'd actually go for Brighton. But yeah, I think Everton and Ancelotti will get the job done.
Yeah, Sean, quick word, I guess, on Everton, and Sam's probably right. Like, they're just atrocious at home, but it is the kind of game I'd be leaning towards what Sam said there, that Everton just dig out a win, and particularly Ancelotti kind of side.
Yeah, Everton, I think, massively missing their fans at home. I don't think they would have lost that game with the chances they created at Goodison.
To be fair, they were at that nonsense with fans, like drawing.
No, but if you go back to
accumulator.
I suppose they have that bit about them, but they won 2 games. They beat Chelsea and Arsenal kind of a couple of weeks to get out with fans at Goodison. So I think this side need that. I think the fans have so much trust in the manager. And obviously the manager's getting a good wage to be there. He's happy. And I think the fans are kind of needed there. I think this could be a game where Brighton have an expected goals of 4.67 and probably score 1. Although Welbeck's come into a bit of form, happy to see him score against United after the way they kind of treated him there to finish.
Disgrace. Absolutely disgraceful.
So no, I don't know. I think if Everton are serious about top four, I mean, you have to go here and win, or even top six, because that could be falling from them. But I'll go with Welbeck to score. And Brighton 2-1.
Ooh. Right. So we're here and we're going to go straight to the tie break, lads. So this is basically we needed it last week, and Shane, you went with 4 from memory, and then Andrew went with 11, and it was
11, yeah.
and it was 6. Did well there. As Emma texted us saying Andrew's the biggest mug, not doing 5 as soon as you said it 4. But anyway, don't want any of that messing, lads. Take it serious. This is why Emmett's not being invited back on the podcast, messing with mathematical equations. We go to you, Shane. First minute of a goal to be scored in any of those 10 fixtures.
I'll go 5th minute.
5th minute. Sam?
I'm tempted now to go 6, but I'll go 8.
8, come on.
8th minute, yeah. Slow burner this weekend.
You just think you're just a mug if you don't do that, but that's it. It ruins the fun of it, I think. Well done, lads. That was a good old brief from the Premier League. We've got our Masters preview out there. That should be in your podcast feeds. Do give that a listen. Even if the Masters is on, it'll still be good fun, good stuff. Thanks to Shane, our champion.
Yeah, thanks very much, lads. If you can get maybe a loan from the credit union, I'd just be lumping it on Jordan's feet there. Bet responsibly. Good luck.
Sam, any quick word on the Masters before you go? Thanks for coming on.
I think Rory's going to do it. I'll say it every year.
I'm gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
I mentioned that to my dad. My dad goes, "Oh, well, we've lost too much money on him." No.
Yeah, I'm the same. Scotty Scheffler or Rory. I'll take either.
Cooch will do it though.
Yeah.
Roll back the years, and I went to bed last night dreaming of what Ewan Murray's going to say as Matt Kuchar rolls in the winning putt. In the twilight of his career. There we go.
Too many good golfers for Kuchar to be winning this. Jordan Speed wins. Shane is correct. And as he said, please gamble responsibly and all that. So yeah, thanks a million for coming on. At Tacton Sports social media, all their scores will be up there, lads. We'll do a bit of polls on Twitter and Instagram, keep the fight going. And hopefully we have an Arsenal Fan TV next week with all 4 Arsenal fans with Brian joining us. So looking forward to having you back on the podcast next week, Sam.
Cheers for having me, lads.
Thanks to Sean.
Next week.
Tried to get rid of Shane. And thanks a million for listening. And have a great weekend. Enjoy the football.